Hey everyone. Um, I just picking this up this afternoon. Um, and yeah, where did we get to? So, just a quick recap. Just for context purposes. Gosh, where's that gone now? This is essentially what the progress that I've made. Well, move. Just so that I can see what I'm doing a bit better. And hopefully still be heard. But yeah, so essentially this is what I'm working on, a neural network type view. I'm building a cockpit for all of the various thoughts, ideas, chats that I have with various AI and stuff like that. And then linking them through. This is just something that's going to help me better navigate my thinking, group my thoughts, and things of that nature. So far what we've done is actually pull through a sample of these conversations that I've had. We've applied a layer of grouping. So I've gone for a lexical pairing. So where there's similarities in the words that have been used, over going for a semantic approach to kind of group these together, and semantic meaning that the words mean the same thing. I wanted to go for more of a lexical join. And then from there, I've then created weighting on these as well. So depending on how, I guess, how strong the connection is between the nodes and things of that nature, you're going to get more connections. And then the next thing that we're going to actually work on putting in now is the recency layer. So again, how I guess how recent is the conversation, that would be dictated by the saturation. So the closer it is to gray, the older the thought, the note, the conversation, the chat is, and then the more saturated it is, the newer it is, and then the larger the node itself is. So as you can see here, the larger the node is, the more connections it's got. And then we're going to build this all the way out into something that I can then add a mentor layer to, and then a like an EA to help me kind of just do general admin things that I need, any thoughts that I've forgotten about and things of that nature. I'll be able to kind of have a bit more mentorship, and then any new conversations that I have with AI, or any new notes that I create, things like that will be pulled into this neural network. This is just a sample of 30 conversations, 30 notes that it's compiled. It's not the full whack. So that's kind of what's going to go in the next iterations and things like that. So I'm going to just jump straight to Cursor, and then I'll be able to go through what I'm doing, what stage I'm at, what some of the things that I'm talking about mean, and then yeah, be able to better narrate as I'm going along. Cool. So I'm just going to just quickly jump into and obviously let me know if the music's too loud and things of that nature as well, so that I can turn that down. But hopefully it's not distracting in any way. It's more feel for the moments where I'm silent and kind of just doing my own thing. There's something happening in the background. It's helping me. I can hear it a little bit, but it's not too distracting. Cool. So I'm just gonna promote Cursor. brilliant. And then I can open that up here. Put this down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So on Cursor's side of things, I've got two windows open. So again, just planning my next move, and then one that's kind of I've been iterating on, an agent I've been talking to with regards to the recent changes, the recent things that I've actually created and prompted. So we're currently on slice 3, and slice 3's work package was split into 3 steps. So the build itself, it was more so just background items going into those nodes, what we're pulling in. I'm about to lock that particular layer in, and then I'll talk you through what I've been doing in this planning window, because I've just finished building a new tool, a new skill that I've then implemented and added on, and I'll talk you through that as I'm going along as well. So I just wanted to quickly commit this this last one's open obsidian and confirm the saturation gradient as needs. Also, I just want to quickly check the recent iteration of the work package it's saying it's completed, and then I'll be able to confirm that that's done, and then move on to the next layer or the next build package. I was really surprised actually that I managed to stream for 3 hours earlier today. That was good going. So it's kind of encouraged me actually today as well. So I'm going to plan to do a 3 to 4 hour stint now, just to see how far I can get. Just to reiterate, you're going to see that the pattern kind of repeats itself in terms of the process that I'm following. But I've added just another work stream just so that we're not waiting for an agent to kind of trigger off its sub agents and do its thing. We're going to run 2 concurrent work packages, just to still remain focused on the same thing and the same micro slice that we're working on. But to kind of accelerate the planning process, I want it to be, I'll explain in a moment. Let me check what bash. Okay, that's a problem for us though, isn't it? Okay. Cool. So it's just updating the vault at the moment with the updates. So just give me a sec. Export for okay, cool. So it's just compiling the new graph nodes. So they will be there shortly, and then we can move forward from there. While that is happening, show you and talk you through. I'm going to show you and talk you through the new skill that we've built. So I'm just going to prove that, which is a look ahead and kind of like start planning skill. So yesterday I put in a skill, or I showcased a skill that's called zoom out, which allows us to kind of get out of that micro slice that we're working on, or the agent is working on, and be able to actually zoom out to see where we're at in the grand scheme of things. So I've then taken that a little bit further because I want it to basically do the zoom out, look at where we're at, and then actually start planning ahead, access the web and things like that, look at all the connectors that have been verified, and the connection points from the previous slice. What does that mean for someone that kind of like just joined it this from scratch? So the philosophy or the principle that I'm using while I'm building this is just to take things a slice at a time, a vertical slice at a time. So it's, imagine you're kind of building in phases, so A, B, C, D, and each of these are very succinct, micro, very dialed in slices of work, so that the agent or the LLM does nothing else but that small slither of work. Basically, go and pull this item from here and bring it back. That's all you're gonna do, nothing else. Don't try and build anything fancy on top of it. Just get that item, bring it back, and then I'll tell you what to do next. So that will be considered a slice of work. So what I've built now is another agent or another skill that I can employ another agent to do, which would be zoom out. So while this transaction's happening with an agent going to get something and bringing it back, look at whether the getting it and bringing it back action is working. Then go and review the overall plan for this project in terms of what we want to build, and then start giving me a list of potential things we can connect or get that agent to do once it's bought this thing back. So then it kind of allows me to start laying the groundwork for the next slice of work ahead of this agent bringing this thing back, so that at least once it's bought it back, I've already started that planning phase for the next slice of work, and that iteration phase is already done. So as soon as this bit's been verified, it's all working, it's all sealed, and we're locked, and we'll confirm that we're happy to do it, we can now start a new session and get another agent to do the next bit of work. And then we start, once we get kind of like that confirmation matrix of seeing that it's making the right progress, we then iterate that, and that allows us to kind of not half the time, I don't want to quantify it, but it allows us to make a few more skips without getting too ahead of ourselves, without kind of skipping this phased approach and small sprints to kind of build this out, but we're at least accelerating the plan phase and kind of getting it to go away and do the groundwork and bring back options and things like that. We can start the peer review a bit earlier, and that should help us deliver things a lot quicker and ship a lot quicker. So cool. That's what's happening in the back. So do these in order. Why lots of me? So we're not gonna start vault. Number 3 C pops and then vault 0 stay. Blah blah blah. Cool. Do these in order. Force Obsidian to reread fast. Then we'll look underneath. Okay, so force manage vaults. Cool. So I'm just gonna quickly close this vault. So vault. Why is this vault open? Right, cool. I'm just gonna quickly close all of the open vaults so I can delete all of the vault. Reset it so that Obsidian is vault for us. Cool. So Obsidian reread. They're gonna say to reload the app. Okay, cool. So then I'm just going in, getting the vault. And confirm. This was the work that we did, previous one. So you can see this was the work that we've just done on that previous one. You can see now there are different kind of like strengths of orange with things that are a deeper gray. And this is just to help us see the strength of the connections, the weight of the connections. And yeah, so I'm going to just kind of carry on building on this. And again, this is just a slice based off of a sample of 30. Once I've got all of the logic working in the way that I want it to, I will then dump all of the thousands of conversations in here and get this to kind of, yeah, marry up with all of the other thoughts and get it to work as I want it to. Cool. So let me exit this back so I can go back into Cursor where I was. All of this screen switching. All of this screen switching can be confusing sometimes. Well, I'm not making excuses. Just organizing my screens just so that it makes context switching and things like that, or sorry, screen or task switching a little bit easier for me as well. Also that's done. So the daily driver roadmap, blah, blah, blah. Good point, interrupted. Cool. So mark that there, and then I want to do a handover. So that's verifying, working. I want to sign off that. I want to sign that off, and then I will show you this skill in a second. So all of that is committed. The plan looks fine. So I'm going to just do a sweep plan. Which I'm about to do now. I'm just going to confirm that that can go ahead with that. Cool. Yeah, so this is about to commit that and then trigger the handoff. Once that's handed off, I can then go through to the next task. Yes. Cool. So I'm just triggering a grill me session, and a grill me session, as anyone that has tuned into the previous streams, the agent's going to kind of go back and forth with me, asking me very specific questions, just to help kind of lock in certain directives, certain approaches to anything that's kind of ambiguous in the peer review session that we've done, or in the ideation. And it's constantly looking back at the spec, the original spec, the things that I've put in this draft plan for this next slice of work. And then we're just going to go back and forth on the approach. Once we're happy, or once we're at a place where the approach, all of the responses with regards to the approach are locked in, I'll then be able to peer review with it, and then from there I'll be able to commit that to a work package or the spec, and then the next slice of work can commence. We're just waiting for those to run. While that's happening, I'm just going to carry on locking in the previous work packages and the handoff, so that these can all be committed. So it's past 25 at skip 7. Do you want to allow? Yes. And this is just basically writing the handoff to say that we've completed X amount of tasks. So here, so slice 3 has been built and shipped. It's the recency saturation gradient, which is this. Not that. Is this. So you've got the lighter an item is, the older it is, the more saturation on the node, the more current it is. And then I've verified that as working. It's hardened the global look ahead signals that we created. And then now it's just handing that off, basically saying I've created slice 3A, 3B, and 3C. We've then committed that to the master branch on Git. And now there are two things that are queued to happen, which is I need to run the hook for the project gate to be locked, and then the TDD cadence also needs to be restarted. So I need to do that before the arm for the next slice actually runs. So I'm going to do that, and then we can start slice 4 as per my roadmap. It's also got all of the planning out of this, but I can see where I'm at. So all of the planning that we do in this particular skill, sorry, not this, in this particular skill gets handed off as a document with suggestions. So then when I've gotten to the end of a particular task as well, it can reference the B1 topic clusters and things like that. As per my roadmap and recommendation, it gives me all of that, and this is all coming from that new skill that I've created, which is the look ahead. So then I've already got kind of like a starting ground for the next planning session. I'm not going to use it though. I'm going to just kill this session, start the next session, and trigger all of the hooks, just so that all of our gates and the test pie and everything like that is all locked in before we commit the next bit of work. All of that is important because the moment that we don't create those hooks or initiate those hooks, we end up, so I'm just continuing to terminal. You're not going to be able to see that on your end, but I'm just basically initiating the hooks now, just so that it's got session and configure, work tree, create, file, message, display. Cool. For and what else was it? The TDD and the protect gate. So all of these which are still dormant, get those initiated. TDD, protect gate. See. Cool. So I'm just getting Claude within the terminal to actually do that. Once that's done, I'll start a new session, and all of these hooks will be in place and not dormant. And yeah, so all happenings. All the skill has been loaded, which is fine. And this is just, yeah, this is all just best practice because it helps me avoid starting a piece of work. And as I said, I want to work in really succinct slices. So I don't want the AI to try and get ahead of itself and then end up building and walking into potholes that I didn't ask it to do. I really want to ring fence and control what it's doing. Every single stage needs to be verified by me. I don't want it to start work packages that have not been approved. I don't want it to kind of falsify the stage gates as well, in marking things as complete or tested when they haven't been tested. These are all things that AI can do, and if you've kind of been building these systems and using these harnesses, whether it's what's it called, anti-gravity, whether it's VS Code, whether it's Cursor, and you're using agents, they do this from time to time because they'll look for the path of least resistance when it comes to telling you that they've done something, because they've hit a bug or anything like that. They'll tweak the scope just to make sure that they're giving you something positive, or they'll try and kind of like rush ahead and bug fix after, and then you'll end up hitting that roadblock of you having to correct the AI, and then the AI telling you, or the agent telling you that you know what, you're right. I did make a mistake and X, Y, and Z. So to circumvent all of that, we're kind of throwing a lot of these different controls at it. So one of them is, or are, these hooks. But I want to share this cockpit. Well, let's see what it's called. Technically a cursor window, but I want to show you. I've not really had this on screen yet. The homo. See here, this is essentially what I've been doing in the background, because I just didn't have this screen set. So from here, I'm activating. So what I'm doing is activating the cockpit. That's triggering now, and again, as you can see, it will allow the TDD cadence to work properly, and that's kind of like the iteration. So once it's done a task, tested it, goes back, does the next bit, test it, go back, does the next test, finds a bug, all of that will work in sequence. And then once I've done all of that, I can then move on to the next task. Bear with me. But yeah, as I was saying, I've just had to initiate this work package and the hooks on this project. So I will now go back to Cursor and figure out where to move forward from there. So all now built out. These are all now built out, so I can now start adding the rest of the repo to them. But there's still functionality that I want to add to this. And I still need to kind of plan ahead for how I'm going to categorize my conversations and notes from all the different LLMs, so that it's still, we can still differentiate where I was or which system I was using to actually come up with those thoughts as well. Because there are instances with some of the future ones away from this sample set where I've done peer reviews between the two different LLMs as well. So I don't want to kind of create duplication because they'll have a similar date stamp and similar title. So that is probably going to be something that causes conflict down the line, but we'll address that when we get to it. Cool. So I'm just going to go back to this tool now. See where we're at with it. So refresh. Okay, cool. So that's all initiated now. So I can call the handoff to continue from where we left off. So continue from handoff, and then I'll reference the handoff from the previous slice now, which will allow us to keep going with this. And the other thing that I actually want to mention as well with the new skill that we've created as well, the kind of like zoom out and plan ahead, all of the plans and the documents that it creates for this are saved outside of the repo. The reason I've done it outside of the repo, again, I don't want to create cloudiness within the actual repository itself. I don't want to dump files where it's then, again, messing up all the context or burning tokens by having all of these plans that may or may not kind of add to the build spec, plugging up and using up context when it's searching through the actual project as well. So those will all be saved in the temp folder the same way that the handoffs are saved in the temp folder, and then from there, if anything gets called up to the main spec, that will be what's saved into the actual project folder. So that's again a bit of best practice that's been implemented there. So here it's found the handoff, it's confirmed the handoff as well. The look ahead has been found as well, but we're not going to need this. The look ahead signal we will pull from a different session as well, so that we can continue the grill me session here. So the first of the grill me sessions the first of the grill questions have actually been asked already anyway. So I will go through these and then feed the actual new context window that we've started here, but it still passes and okay, the only drift is again. Okay, that's annoying, but we'll get to that in a second. So cool. So I will continue this grill me session and then hopefully have a full plan at the end of this. So continue grill me session. And again, this is with this approach, we're able to get all of the context for this slice done. So obviously anything that we've ideated in the previous from the previous session as well, we're now actually able to test some of the functionality, make the core decisions. So again, anything that we build on top of this now, we're still owning every single module that goes in, every single bit of context is something that we're deciding, and not letting the not letting the agent actually just decide what it wants to do and not having visibility of it. So I'll go through this grill me session, make all of the decisions in terms of what's going to go into this next slice of work, and then we will put that into peer review with our other LLM that's just specifically put for peer reviewing. And then once that's done, we'll seal the spec and then carry on with the next build scope. Actually, now I want to trigger just to get peace of mind. Let's zoom out and see. Let's zoom out and see that. Cool, because we've got a few context windows open now, so I just want to be able to zoom out and see where we've gotten to, just to sense check everything, make sure that there's nothing kind of uncommitted in any of the repos. Working decision recorded. Okay, cool. So this is planning the next move, working decision. So what kind of note, what makes a note worth resurfacing? So again, what's this asking me? So if I go back to these nodes here, and again, just for context, these are all the, sorry, not all of them, but this is a sample of various conversations that I've had with AI over the last three to 4 years. It's a snapshot of 30 conversations that I had in 2024. And the question that I'm being grilled on now is, what makes a note worth resurfacing in the digest? So we have something that's deterministically offline, and then per the application that we're building or the cockpit that we're building, we want to actually pull from these nodes, prioritize work, and make sure that, you know, my ADHD is not being a factor when it comes to prioritizing work, when it comes to shipping work and things of that nature, or having all of these thoughts scrambling around and not being able to actually get anything done, because I'll have a thought over here about something, and then a month later I'll have the same exact thought but in a different context. That is going to be something that's static. All of these nodes and these modules are going to be static, because it's going to be all of the old imported data is going to be static. Anything that we put in moving forward is going to be a live feed into this kind of neural network. But then on top of that, we're going to end up adding a mentor, essentially, that allows me to kind of pull all of these thoughts together, and anything that kind of is screaming that, you know, you've been talking about this in all of these different places and there's more recency to it. Let's get this project actually done. You're diddling around with, not diddling, but but you're doing all of this kind of like dilly-dallying around with thinking about something. Let's actually just action it, because you can pull all of this out, do this, and then let's ship it and get it out of here, because you're constantly thinking and asking about it. Let's get it done. That's where I want to get to, and that's where I want this tool to actually be able to help me. So I digress. So this is asking me, or it's grilling me now about what actually makes a note worth resurfacing in the digest. So I'm going to pick the importance and the age. It's giving me options here. So we can do the importance and the age. So we can rank the notes with importance. Anything over 0 by importance, normalized age, can surface at the top. And then there's another option with importance only, another option with age only and statelessness, and then bridge as well. So surface notes that link otherwise two separate areas of the graph as higher insight, but it all needs certainty. But I want importance and the age to be a metric. And the importance can be the number of, I guess the weight of it in terms of the number of messages inside that particular node, but then also the recency of it as well, because I don't want to pull up something from 3 years ago that has a lot of, let's say, context, but I've not done anything with it, or I haven't thought about it for a while, or asked about it for a while. Again, I want that to score that recency slightly differently. So we're going to go for importance and age. So then determinism and reality, the golden rule number 2 forbids wall clock. Now recency is relative to the export's latest timestamp. So digest is pure stateless function, and the corpus identical everyone, new material. How do you want freshness to work? So the export relative to statelessness. So it's an easy one. Cool. So then I'm just going to kind of go through all of these iterations, and it's grilling, and then this is going to end up giving us a rough map, a rough plan, a rough idea of what the next slice will look like, and then from there we'll begin a peer review session, and then that will be the next slice of work that gets built, and then that will be implemented into that node system. So I want to just get all of this node related stuff out of the way, and then we can build the next layer. That's probably going to be 4 or 5 slices from now, because there's still quite a lot to go in. These are just, I'm still working on that sample of 30. I still want to see what that looks like once I actually import everything, and layer on what we're doing. We've already kind of sorted out how we're going to handle duplication or anything that's got the same timestamp and date stamp. We already kind of, we've decided what we want to do with that, but deciding and actually seeing it in action are 2 different things. I want to make sure that the system still works once we scale it up. So yeah, that. For the next line. Okay, cool. So that's grilled. That's finished its current grilling session. So from here, I'm actually going to get the skill is going to end up giving me a rough outline of the plan. And then from there, I'll be able to go through the plan and revise certain things, and then peer review it with my other agent, and then feed it back into the system and create the work package for the next slice. Here's a zoomed out picture. So these are what actions we've actually done so far already. So we've done the ingest spine. We've done the similarity edges. So this is going to be based off of the lexical pairing. So anything with a name that's got the same words in it, rather than semantic, where the words mean the same things. And then the source adaptance theme reserved. Edge weight, we've done the edge weight and that's all done. And then the recency, saturation and gradient, plus node prominence, that's all done and working. So we've done this. So I'm gonna just quickly continue with this. No, so this is asking me whether I want to. It's asking me whether I actually want to accept this, and it's always no. We'll say no, we'll keep planning, but I actually want to just look at the outline that it's created, and then tweak certain things, and then feed it to my peer review agent just to kind of go through what that looks like. So personal manager and note source. The multiple source, the weak signal slug today, authoritative. Yeah. Cool. Similarity edges. We've already done all of this items. So records. Done this, okay, cool. I generated digest and stuff. Layer. Importance. Yeah, cool. So this I want to change slightly because I don't want it. Right, I don't want it solely based off of this. This metric needs to make sense. H floor is known to only notes with important 0 and reliable and isolate notes have no signal. Important H high signal, long untouched. High signal and long untapped. Have a look at the stateless pure function. The surface no color more. A1 recurring sliced instance verification discipline. I've got a feeling that this is actually going to interfere. This is going to interfere with the weighting we built earlier. Cool. So that's been sent to my peer review agent. See what it comes back with while it's doing that. What we're actually going to do is continue without refreshing another handoff. Don't need this anymore. But we're going to kick off a new over here. The cockpit. Make sure it's in the right folder. Cool. So what I want to do now is actually launch ahead. Slides. Change the plan mode as well. Otherwise it'll start triggering random things. So that's fine. Work green, handoff. Slice 4 node drift. Word flag in. The commit from stage to slice 4 B1. Slice 3 is complete. Grow me session. Reset and digest promote. Okay, fine. Look ahead. So yeah, cool. So I'm just triggering a look ahead so that we can kind of initiate and start ideating for slice 5. But in the meantime, just waiting for our agent to finish the peer review of what we intend to put into slice 4. I'm just completing that now. Got the plan and current spec. Cool. So that's a way in reading what it needs to for that. I can get that closed down. Script still passes clean or recent. Snapshot. That's all done. Slice. Rename. Look ahead. Rename. Look ahead. Fine. Split. Skill. Yeah, that's fine. So Script drift. If you want, I can read the comment look ahead to tell you. I already know what those changes are. Cool. So then at least now I've got the correct number of context windows open, because I hate being confused or having too many things happening at any one time. So what's this one? This is what look ahead. Yep. So that's where we're going to be doing our planning for slice 5. And then okay, cool. And then this was my zoom out. I don't need the zoom out anymore. That can be closed. It's just this, and I'm waiting for the peer review to complete. Nearly done. Also, we've got some initial feedback already on the slice for the direction of going, and the key reordering makes sense. Lead with resurfacing. This is up. So the current state is stale. Plan says 3C is still build, but the repo 25 passes 7 skipped, prominence consistent rendering. Slice 4 can be framed as an there's next, not park. Determinism snapshot won't catch the digest button, and like, or users export relative age and new not last viewed, last surfaced, or wall clock. This is consistent with the golden rule, but the product language says that the older within the corpus button. Okay, decimals. All right, cool. So now we're going to feed this peer review back to our agent. And see what it's got to say for itself. Cool. For a second until we've got enough traction on this. 3C shipped. Cool. So now we're just checking and closing all of the gaps that were highlighted in our peer review. So just verifying once and foremost that slice 3 was actually completed, and all of the slices logged as completed, which they were. So it's verified as shipped, it's completed, so then that can be moved. And wherever we had it flagging, or that inconsistency flagging that the slice wasn't completed for whatever reason, we're just going to get that patched up. So that's what's happening now. Once I rewrite the whole, also 7 time folding. Yeah, that's fine. The file drifted from formatter, touched it. I format touched it rather than the flight. Still, okay, that's fine. Let's do its thing with that. And the plan here is to obviously get to a position where all of these conversations are in, all of my thoughts are in one place, and then anything that I do moving forward is just going to be local. So I'm not saying I'm going to be doing local LLMs or running local LLMs. They're nowhere near cloud, but every interaction will be with Claude Code or Codex and whatever else, because at least that's still running locally. I've got access to the logs locally, and then those logs will be fed to this system, and at least, yeah, I'll be able to kind of having all of the flat exports kind of sealed in one place. Anything I then do moving forward, we've already got groundworks for it, and that can always just be added on top of that, as is. Local stale state confirmed, determinism snapshot gap gate requires the gate now requires slide for test to explicitly snapshot. Yeah, that's fine. So we'll do that. So the weekly gives also nailed down the H formula complex. I want to see, it's saying it's done all of these things, but I want to actually see it. And then I will I'll do what? I'll feed it through the peer review again, just to make sure that the gaps are all closed. 3, 2. So I've given it the second version, and just again, I don't want to have to look through every single line and make sure that it's done, because we've gone through this ideation 3 times. So I just want to make sure that anything that it's saying is done. We're doing it. We're doing the due diligence and checking that it's actually closed every single gap it's saying that it's closed. Because obviously this is now going to end up creating a work package for the next agent to go away and do what it needs to do. And then it ends up saving us time in the long run, because I'm not going to have to worry about kind of trying to one-shot something, as I've been saying for the last few days. This isn't about trying to one-shot and vibe code and do things in that nature, things of that nature. We're looking at it from a position of AI engineering and building things using the right frameworks, doing things in a systematic way, where we're building robustness and best practice into things as well. So we're not giving the AI kind of like free reign, and then it can build bugs into whatever we're doing. Can spend hours, days, depending on the severity of it, trying to unpick things that it's done wrong. But instead, building it this way around, it looks like it takes longer, but I don't have to sit and waste time trying to debug. And if something was to go wrong, or I'm looking at something and from the front end side of things it doesn't look right, I'll have a good idea of where certain things are at. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I think we were at Crossroads, and it tried to add the similarity module into the ingest module. So I wanted the ingest spine just to be completely independent Python script that does so here, see this here, the ingestion. I wanted that to be its own independent module and Python script, so that anything that was coming in that's being converted from JSON and whatever else to something that compiling all of that data and doing what it needed to do with it in terms of categorizing it, denoising it, adding all of the dates and things like that. Having that as an independent module or script, that's how I wanted it. But then it wanted to mix the similarity script into the ingest file. But I wanted those as 2 different things, because again, if I want to now change the similarity logic, I don't want to have to go into the ingest script and kind of look around at where the logic sits in there. I'd rather that just be its own independent script. So if I want to change from lexical pairing or lexical logic with regards to similarity, I can go in and do that. If I want to tweak it and change it to more semantic, I can go and do that, and nothing else breaks. It just changes that particular bit. It's everything is kind of contained in that one script, and all of these choices and things are why we do it the long way around. You know, from I suppose that's what optics makes it look like we're doing it the long way around. But in the long run, it means that I've got quite a solid understanding of where every module sits, where every piece of logic, I've been consulted on it. And then the building blocks are determined by me. So if something goes wrong, I've got better steering of where the tool looks for certain things. If I want to then kind of add new functionality and whatever else, yeah, cool. I don't want to have to obviously rely on me remembering all of the context and the code base with how many things I've got to ship and build and whatever else. But building it in this way as well, and keeping the context window small as possible, keeping the context per session as small as possible, having the best practice in terms of any handoff and context files being kept in my temporary folder outside of the main project folder means that the agents working within the project are completely self-contained. They only know what's in that project folder. Apart from anything that I feed in, or if I point it outside and say, go and look in this specific folder, that's when I'm then kind of manipulating how much not the size of the knowledge base that they've got to sift through to find the answer to something. You get it? So that's kind of why we're doing it in this way, rather than kind of what a lot of people are doing in the space at the moment, and just in general, because the barrier to entry is so low now. You know what I mean? You can kind of, you tell AI what you want and let it do its thing, but there aren't many, or there's very few people that have shipped sensible products without having a solid understanding of their code base, or at least having some sort of bearing in terms of the architecture that they're putting together or the frameworks that they're using to build some of these tools. I feel like it's important to have that. I'm not saying that I've got to understand every single line of code, but at least have a solid enough understanding of where certain things are kept, where certain logic lives, and things of that nature. It helps in terms of just having that oversight. But yeah, let me not waffle on for too long. Cool. So what was the feedback? No, I don't want to accept that yet. Cool. So I've given it the version 2. So it's saying, yep, cool, version 2 is better. The previous gaps are basically closed. It updates the real repo state, makes slice for the next build, calls out the corpus relative forgotten, freezes the digest byte shape, handles the empty states, requires explicit digest snapshotting, and resolves links against root note files, and then makes the digest write unconditional. A few gaps still remain. Again, this is why I didn't want to just accept that blindly. So the resurface still not fully frozen. The spec section reference is ambiguous. Reference is ambiguous. So human freezes spec MD, which is not what happens. I've not froze. I froze that using the settings .json. Everything is done, within a different file and within a different directive. So all of these say resurfacing not similar. Decide whether 0 score is eligible. So decide whether 0 score eligible notes can appear. Eligibility importance. Cool. So I'm going to just quickly feed this back to the agent. I'm not going to say, other than this. I'm actually going to tell it, look for more. So So we're still in plan mode. So, you know, there shouldn't be any reason for this to try and execute anything as well, which is good. The only thing that's kind of quizzing me at the moment is my handoff skill hasn't triggered a to be fair, no, the context window is probably still quite small. So when I say that, no, it's not small. This is not good. So this should have triggered. So this is the next thing that I actually now want to grill this thing on. So even though I've got 1 million tokens available to me to use in any one session, I don't want to get anywhere near that. I want to stay below 160. I know that there were some AI engineers out there that say stay under 140 and that's the smart zone, but I've got it to 160. And 160 is my personal sweet spot because it gives a little bit of leeway for it to wrap up what it's doing, because I don't want to kind of switch context during something important, but I don't like the way that it's not honoring the hook that I've created and the way that I've set up the handoff logic to actually warn as soon as we get above 135k tokens, it has to warn, it has to prompt and say, hey, look, we're getting close to your handoff trigger. Let me start kind of wrapping up and whatever else. And it's annoying because in Cursor, it's not been honoring this. This is something that when I initially created it and I was using Claude Code outside of Cursor, it respected that a little bit more. So this is very annoying. I don't want to have to manually check the context. Yeah, I know it's like a couple of clicks, but I created a skill and a hook that should trigger that automatically every single time, so that I'm not having to worry about exceeding 160k tokens in any single session. I want to keep this as low as possible. So that's annoying that it's not doing that. Cool, where are we? Nope. I just want to just verify what it's done with this one last time. And then I'm gonna get asked about the context window. Oh, okay, cool. So it's as if it could hear me. Annoying. I'm not a fan of directing AI with audio either at the moment. I'm not really quite comfortable because there are times where if I'm speaking about something, I'm thinking faster than I actually speak. So then I'll end up like jumbling thoughts because I'm not able to get it out fast enough. Whereas if I'm typing and I'm thinking ahead and I can kind of just catch myself in the X, Y, and Z, it's a lot easier for me to kind of control that. So yeah, so that's that. But I was speaking too soon. So as you can see here, it's so minimal. But you can see that line there. You can see it. So one note, the context is 189k, well past the handoff threshold. Every decided session lives durably in the plan file, so survives regardless. But it's time to hand off essentially, right? Which is what it's saying. So so let's hand this off and I'll show you what that looks like. I literally just trigger my handoff. So it's going to contextualize and compact this down, and then I can start a new session and call the previous handoff, and then I can just pick up where I left off in a much smaller context window. Helps me keep things light. It helps the agent kind of have as much room as it needs to kind of run efficiently, without having to worry about looking in all of these different places to answer things and calculate the next token and whatever else and all of that stuff. That I don't, you know, there are a much better place people that can explain how the tokens are calculated and things like that. I don't want to embarrass myself with all of that, but I just know that in terms of building that tool, or building that skill, I've built it to trigger and remind me of it each time so that we can kind of get out. But it feels like as though I need to kind of make this a bit firmer, and a bit stricter. It's not the end of the world. It's what, 29 tokens above where I want it to be. 29k tokens above where I want it to be. So it's not the end of the world, and we're still planning. But I really need to just jump sessions and get out before it's too late. The heck, why are you still asking me questions? Cool. Exit plan mode and handle write-off. Yeah, the hell, stay in plan mode and plan for no. Exit plan mode immediately, then immediately run handoff help, right? A durable repo copy temp. Yeah. Cool. So I'm gonna get out of plan mode, which is fine. And I've just had my keep planning. Okay, this is an annoying loop. But I will manually get out of plan mode. And then I'll ask it to do the handoff, because why is it still trying to seal the plan? I don't want to seal the plan. Cool. So the v3 feedback closes the gaps that was flagged. The important bits now are now pinned. The only tiny polish that we need to consider before handing it to the builder is to replace the examples in the byte contract with the exact literal if you want zero ambiguity, which is fine. Yes. Cool. So I'm just allowing that to write to the right location, and then once this is written, yes. Cool. So once this is written, and I know I can obviously start multiple agents at one time, but in this instance, this is best practice, because I don't want to start necessarily planning slice 5 before we've actually sealed and built the spec and locked and frozen the spec for slice 4, because at that point we're not going to know, until that's done, we're not going to know where the connectors are, or not we, but this is not referencing anything that's concrete. And that's not the position I want to be in, because we might start this and it'll start iterating and doing what it needs to do and going through the TDD build format, and then get us in a position where the initial approach had to be handled slightly differently, or it found different workarounds and things like that. I want the connectors at the end of each slice to be completely compatible and open for us to plug the next bit in with less ambiguity. So I'm just waiting for this to happen, to do its thing. Right, cool, that's done. Sorry, I got slightly distracted there. So the handoff is written. So what I'll do here, start a new session. So new session is started. All I need to do is continue from handoff, and it will go look in the temp folder and find the handoff in question. So you can see here, and obviously there are also hooks as well that have been created to automatically start on each window, so that I've got the look ahead picking up the context from each window. So that's a cool little thing that's happening there. You can see all of these different bits being called into memory. So the look ahead, okay, so the look ahead handoff says nothing is pending. Which thread do you want to continue? So then it's asking me which of the available threads do I actually want to pick up from. So the next rule build. Okay, cool. So yeah, so this is where I want to go. And I'm actually gonna quickly switch it to plan mode so it doesn't do anything silly. Size for gate needs the spec to be frozen, which is where we were. So plan mode is active. I'll search and then write a plan. I don't want you to write anything. So we'll stop that there. We're actually now out of plan mode, so it's safe to do what we need to do. And then now I can tell it. Give me a sec. text messages, but yeah, cool. Rude of me. Right, so what I want to do now is actually just lock in the plan. So it's going to be my next prompt. Let's lock in plan into a spec for slice 4. Cool. So that's gonna crack on and do that. And then I'll probably need to reinitiate this particular thing. And then from it, obviously we'll be able to see what packages entail for slice 4 as well. It's just going through. And just at that point, sections, variant. So yeah, of course, it's gonna write everything in, and then we'll be able to trigger the TDD, and then start building within this session. Just open. Cool. So it's taking a gate snapshot. Imagery only. For yes. Also, we just let that do its thing. Hooks are all active. Also apply freeze to protect the gate from hook blocks. The protect gate blocks me from writing spec test. How do you want slice 4 freeze to be applied? Draft a review file, paste it, lift the hook. I edit it directly, spec section only in chat. Draft the review file, you paste. No, just edit it. Append it to the spec on this occasion. Again, all of these are the roadblocks that we've put in place to stop it from changing the spec for whatever reason. Anything that comes anywhere near the spec sheet, we must know about it. Maybe done for all previous slices. Also, this is all happening in the background. Yes, bash. Cool. So, where are we now? So all of the docs are done in this in the spec MD. So what we're going to be doing, the importance score, version, back contract, scope guard, that's all done. The method, sanction the edit, blah blah blah, that's all good. The builder similar pairs of spec freeze with arm in the gate. Not done yet. The half of the freeze, nothing, not that done. Another half of the freeze, okay. One more time, okay, cool. So let's arm the gate. So this just means we're locking anything changing the scope, anything changing the actual slices, and we're arming the gate in terms of a testing perspective, so that the AI can't go in there and kind of change what the measuring or the success criteria is for marking a gate as closed. So we're arming it so that nothing can edit it, nothing can tweak it. We're not going to accept any changes to it until, and we're going to keep it as red all the way up until it's completed every single element to meet the criteria and pass the test. So arm the gate. That's what we're doing. What we're doing now, once that's armed, I'll check the context window, then we can start the build. Once the build is started, I'm going to run the look ahead for slice 5, and then get started with that. So critical finding: the ingest result exposes the note count, not instance. What's trying to do now? Append the gate. Okay, cool. So let me see what's actually critical finding. And imports of not yet built symbols. I must be a Lazian function. Yes, cool, because we did build in a Lazian function. Test go red instead of breaking the collection of the collection file. Okay, cool. So what's this trying to do? Append now. Yeah, cool. Let's do that. Laxed. Cool. Cool. So where are we now? So the freeze is complete. The remaining work is just a TDD. Boom. So now it's time to just reiterate. I'm just gonna quickly check the context window just to see where we're at in terms of token usage. Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm actually now gonna do is a preemptive handover or handoff. Oh, not that. To hand off to a new session, and then yeah, we can start the build from there. Beat. Too upbeat. Right, is that slightly different? Let's go for like that vibes. You know what that's saying? Hopefully I'm not gonna get a copyright strike for this. Good. Yes, man, like hoodie. Insane. Oh, so the handoff is complete. I'm gonna quickly just start a new context window. And then continue from this handoff. Cool. So then actually just trigger the next point. Yes. I need to know which way to point. Nope. So what we want to do is, yeah, freeze the spec. We've done that. Run look ahead. No, we want this. No, I just want to be more directive. Start slice for EDD. So now the fun begins. So now it's going to just continue through this process and continue to iterate until this slice of work or this work package is actually completed. Once we've verified that this has started, before I touch anything, I need to check the build discipline. Yeah, so all of this is actually frozen. There are uncommitted changes to the spec. Okay, we need to commit those actually. So commit the spec changes, very important, and the test slice 3 changes. Eight new slice 4 invariant tests and all uncommitted. That's the spec freeze. Negate handoff. My job now is to edit the personal manager. The only turn the human is frozen. Okay, cool. Resurface. Yeah, I need everything. I have everything I need, but first the user's interjections to commit a spec and blah blah blah. Once I confirm, yeah, cool. So it's gonna just commit everything so that we're not risking anything there. We've got the 2 hooks for that particular task being called as well now, so that's good. cool. So then while that's actioning that, or once that starts actioning that, I can actually close off this handoff. And I'm just waiting now for, I'm waiting for this to be committed, and then just for it to trigger the TDD skill, start iterating, and then once that's done, we can then obviously get to planning or the look ahead, and start planning the next skills work packages. That one is impossible without bypassing the guard, which I won't do unprompted. The actual root was invisible git log. Cool. One is green. Aspect limit sliced. Yes. Cool. Prompted. So the path delivers. So the path that delivers your commit in response to guard is the slice for implement. Now ingest together and then implementation is small and fully spec. Let me do it. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Let's start. Now run the slice for gate. Green, which should be by design. Is exactly plus 7 are exactly the digest test. The same 7 core plus skips remain, no regression, which is good. That's what we're expecting to see. Let me render the real digest into the picture and confirm by eye. Yeah, cool. So crack on. So that's okay. So that's gonna start doing that. Read from the temp folder, the Python, personal manager, blah, 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 export skit. The digest reads exactly as intended. That's fine. A list of the high score signal notes. Not raw importance. Notes. Yeah. Entry out track. Yeah, skip commit because commitment to spec implementation is green. We'll rerun the full suite and allow it once it's green. Cool. So resurface and digest. So now it's just confirm. Okay, cool. So now that's safely cracking on with this. I wanna just reinitiate the slice for has commenced. Can we restart the slice 5 action on the current state? Yeah. So I'm just re-triggering that because now obviously the project has started taking shape and the slice has started taking shape. So what I don't want to do is let me know the project memory to record slice for shipping. And then the hooks are now actually being forcing, which prior flag is dormant. That's fine. Yeah, so it's just checking all of that now. Get rid of this plan document because now we're active, just to clean up my work surface. State moved since the first scout, which is exactly what I'm saying, which is why we now need a new iteration of this forward planning, because obviously we're not planning from the same state that we were in before. It's not shipped, is it? Come on, stop being silly. Edit some memory. Actually, sharp as a slice 5 question. And then changing candidates. Right, cool. So then let's see where we get to with this ideation session in a second as well. Okay, cool. So this was quick. What I found. Now I actually want to I couldn't commit those alone. Okay, cool. So now I just want to check that this actually has been tested. So, I just want it to evidence the actual work done. And then anything that we need to actually verify visually as well. So this is what I really hate. Why is it committing? It shouldn't be committing anything that's not verified on its own. So again, this is something that I need to do. And then you can see how it's softening its actual failure. So something's gone wrong. This is not working as designed. But it's saying it's not a real failure, just a misalignment in the path, and the bash shell translated the temp to a real Windows temp for the CLI to site following notes, which is exactly non-eligible for end-to-end case unwanted. Let me repoint to the real paths. Yeah, let's do that. Hold on, I found something that's not in spec. Of course you found something that's not in spec, and I'm glad I checked. Oh, you're glad that you checked, or you're glad that I called you out on it. The heck. I'm glad that I checked rather than trusting the green gate. So silly. Look at the no eligible run manifold fixture. The digest is not empty. The fixture actually yields 3 notes with 2 similar edges, and worse, the same note is listed twice, which is not supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be deduplicating things. The gate never caught this because the sample fixture has no duplicate content notes. Let me find the root cause of this. So I'm not going to just leave this to do its thing. I'm actually going to park. Okay, so let's do that. And then I'm going to just run the diagnose skill that we've got. Go diagnose. It is apply dedupe recommended. No. I actually want to run the diagnostic tool, then pose tool fix based findings. That's what I want to do, not to trust you. Cool. So I'm spinning up the diagnosis tool that will go through and scan the repo according to our spec. Once it then finds something, I'll be able to take it from there, really. What do you mean there is no diagnostic tool in this project? The diagnostic of code is here. Code review. No, I don't want to run code review skill. Check the global. So annoying. Skills in the Claude. In the global. In Claude. Skills. Check for the skill. That the skill exists. Stop telling me that it doesn't exist. Built this and we've used it several times on this project. And guys, this is why I always say it's worth just knowing what you're doing, knowing your code base, knowing your folder structures, knowing the whole architecture, how you've ring fenced everything. Because this is going to end up checking this folder that I've quoted after it told me that this skill doesn't exist and say, yep, cool, I found it. Yeah. Come on now. We know what you're about to do and what you're about to say, so just get on with it. Of course, leave that in the background. What's this one saying? So the digest's actual endpoints. Let me tighten up the recommendations here. So findings and fitment for each suggestion. So the digest actual endpoints, the resurface, blah blah blah. Renewing tools. Age saturation. Page rank. I don't really like this. Of these suggestions. How do they benefit? They benefit of the core functions. For myself, for that matter. No, so let me see. No. I want to see what you actually found. Cool. So the code, there is no diagnosis skills available in this project. No. So then let's say I have a diff and agent correctness. Rescan the service. Cancel this. I want to see what it actually said. Confirm the duplicate random. The user doesn't want to pronounce. No, I need you to find where that skill is. Find the notes. Go. Skill directory. Look there for it. Which core function should find themselves actually advance? The cockpit circuit, the executive is the matrix cells. Before feeding and refining and validate the digest that you just shipped. Is it surfacing the right things, rendering actionability, chin compatibility, the mental? I don't really want to focus on this, and I feel like I'm steering it in the wrong direction. I'll search everywhere for that skill. There is no diagnosed fields and installed on global directory. Okay, well that's BS. That doesn't sound right. It really doesn't sound right. Now I'm gonna manually search for this. Have I got the patience to do this? No. I'm gonna have a quick look and see. So I'm gonna go into my C drive. I'm gonna go into files to C. I'm gonna go into .claude. Open this JSON file. Check. No. In fact, better yet, I'm actually going to open up Claude in the terminal and verify that this thing actually does exist. Open a new session. This is annoying. I know that skill exists. So we're gonna go off and find. Screens up. So hoping that you guys are looking at the same thing that I'm looking at right now. You're not, but you will be in a second. I'll just close that off so that I can now open this window, because I found it already and it was in the actual project folder as well. The part of it could have found this. Yeah, so I've asked it within the terminal. So after this tool has tried to search for it within Cursor twice or 3 times and told me in 3 different occasions or 3 separate occasions that it doesn't exist, the skill is sitting within the project directory within skills, Claude diagnose skills.md. So I'm just gonna copy this path and then feed it into Cursor because things just being silly now. Right, cool. Let's go back and direct it. I searched everywhere a skill could live and no diagnostic skill. Psh, behave yourself. Skill is in so see or find. I hate getting to a point where I'm having to ask the AI questions like this. Let me just quickly check what the context size is at the moment. Maybe we're in the dumb zone. Oh, well, we're approaching it. You're right. I only searched in the global directory, not the project. It's a project skill under the cockpit, and since this session root is in the parent Cursor projects, it wasn't auto registered in my skills, which is annoying because this session I've started each session with changing a directory to this project folder. So what are we doing? Anyway, now that you've found the skill, do what you need to do with it, please. Stop wasting my time. Cool. So now I've got it. I understand why it wasn't in my list, blah, blah, blah. Cool. So then the diagnose skills is a six phase loop, build feedback, reproduce, hypothesize, instrument, fix, regression, blah, 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 clean up. So let's do it. And then confirm and fix. Phase 2 to 5, reproduce and then confirm the fix. Yeah, let's run it. The French run goes. Yep. Run it. The bug is reproduced and the fix is confirmed at the unit seam. Now, unminimized regression. So now it's going to go through and reiterate. We'll continue to reiterate until it actually passes, and then it will do a cleanup of the folder and any mess in the directory. Yeah. Cool. And now it's just doing its post-mortem. Waiting for it to apply these fixes, and then we can lock this off. Because I think I've done 5 hours of streaming today. So once we get to the close of this gate, and verify that the gate's actually closed, we can pick up gate 5 and 5, 6, and 7 tomorrow. I want to try and do 3 gates tomorrow. Want me to also fold in this one remaining correctness review note. The redundant similar importance computation share between prominence bucket and resurface, or leave it for no, we need to document it. Log it up. Let me see. So diagnosis. Yeah. What's going on? Anyway, log it and confirm anything. We can ideate slice 5 tomorrow. I don't want to. I want to do that on a fresh thoughts and a fresh mind. Foreground truth landed a working tree. Commit. Cool. Commit. Knitting and Yeah, now that's all done. So I'm gonna create a hard cut here, and I will be online tomorrow.